Yeah, let's go this way. It's a good idea. So go to,
About right here?
I'll go one more step, right there. Oh, this is gonna be a mess. All right. Right about there. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So yeah, from right here will be mark timing. And then cascade turn to face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, we look so good.
Ready.
We have to come this way.
Paul. Present arms. Blah, 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 blah. Right shoulder, arms. Right face. Forward, march. March it out.
Welcome, everyone. It is so great to see so many familiar faces and also some new faces to come out to observe National Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm so honored to be back and to be able to help out and be a volunteer for Alianza, which is the Arlington County Alliance of Hispanic Employees, who pulls together this wonderful event every year, and a lot of hours go into preparing for today, so please give them a warm applause for their work. I'm Dulce Carrillo. I'm currently the coordinator of community engagement at Arlington Public Schools, but I'm a proud former Arlington County government employee. I was the multicultural public relations manager when I left the county. Well, just to give you a couple of notes on where we are today as a Hispanic community in the United States, according to Forbes, Hispanics account for almost half of the US population growth, and Hispanics currently make up 18% of the total US population, and we're the fastest growing demographic group after Asians. And more importantly, more than half of US Hispanic population is under the age of 29. So we're very young, lots more to come from the youth. And to break that down even further, a quarter of all children in the United States ages 9 and under identify as Hispanic, so that further underscores the demographic importance of Latinos for years to come. Without further ado, I'd like to to bring up to the stage Josefina Giron. She is the president. Josefina is the president of Alianza, and it works in the Department of Human Services. Josefina.
Thank you. Thank you, Dulce. Good afternoon y buenas tardes. It is an honor to be here with you today. Es un orgullo estar aquí con ustedes hoy. My name is Josefina Giron, and I am the president of Alianza. Alianza, the Hispanic Allegiance of Arlington County Employees, is an Arlington County employee resource group. We are delighted to be sharing the Hispanic Heritage Month Proclamation ceremony with you. I would like to briefly introduce Alianza's officers, if they can please stand up and just wave hello. Erica Serrano, Vice President. Odalis Barrios, Secretary. Miriam Jurado, Treasurer. And Javier Iturralde, Member at Large. Thank you. This year's Hispanic Heritage Month theme is Hispanics, One Endless Voice to Enhance Our Traditions. The theme was selected through a voting process, and Aisha Hernandez Ramos from the United States Department of Agriculture in San Juan, Puerto Rico, won. I'm going to read to you what she submitted with her winning theme. I quote, "Although Hispanics share so much, we do also have very unique characteristics, and that enhances us as a group. Our traditions will always be part of who we are. As our history shapes our character, culture defines our beauty, and traditions will enhance our future. History, culture, and traditions define us. And we maintain alive because of that. We will keep talking to the world. We will let them know we are here with our history and culture, as we will keep raising our voice with all we are, a legacy of traditions." It's an eloquent theme which invites us to embrace and join our voices. And in doing so together, we enhance our cultures and traditions. That is the beauty of diversity. We enhance each other. In celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month, we honor the many contributions Hispanics have made around the world. In Arlington County government, Hispanics are an integral part of the workforce and contribute to the county's vision of creating a diverse and inclusive world-class urban community. I want to thank our colleagues and volunteers who helped implement this program. Thank you for your hard work and commitment. And I want to thank you all for your attendance and support. Thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoy the program, Hispanic Heritage Month. Let's celebrate and share our voices. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josefina, for that. And now I'd like to invite you to please rise, everyone, for the presentation of the colors by the Arlington County Joint Public Safety Honor Guard.
Ready, halt, present, arms.
That was so beautiful. And I wanted to let you know, this is Mayari Loza Munoz. She's an 11th grader at Washington Lee High School. We're very proud to have her. I think this is her 3rd year singing the beautiful national anthem. And she, besides her singing, she told me she loves to play soccer and she also plays some instruments. So thank you very much, Mayari. You can see her bio on the back of your program. I want to say thank you very much, and it's always wonderful to hear you sing. Give her a hand, everyone. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the presence of several important guests. Of course, each one of you is a very important guest, and we're so grateful that you're here this afternoon. But first, I want to begin with County Manager Mark Schwartz. I'm also looking around, and I see some of our board members. Of course, Vice Chairman Christian Dorsey is here. Don't see Katie Crystal. Is Mr. Weisstadt here? Don't see him yet. And we have some special guests. We have Anita Friedman, the Director of DHS, of Human Services. And I see Marcy Foster, the Director of Human Resources. And also Assistant County Manager Shannon Flanagan is here. Ooh. And the Director of Parks and Recreation, Jane. I don't know if I missed anyone. I can't see everyone from here, but next, we're going to introduce a very special person, a colleague that we are very proud of, who has a shining career here at Arlington County Government, Mr. Luis Araya. Mr. Luis Araya's bio is also listed in your program, and I hope you have a chance to have a look. Mr. Luis Araya, would you like to come up? It's always good for county staff members to see sort of mirrors as people rise in the organization. I think it creates a lot of hope for the new employees to feel like, oh, I too can rise in my career like my colleagues. So I just want to say thank you for the work, the years put in, and pass it to Luis Araya. Give him a warm hand again.
Thank you, Dulce, Josefina, and Alianza, for giving me the opportunity and honor to be your keynote speaker today. I never imagined that I would be sitting here 20 years after the founding of Alianza by a small group of Hispanic employees who shared a vision of going beyond our public service jobs and becoming an organization that could make a difference in Arlington's diverse community and in its local government. There have been many notable speakers who went before me who have spoken during Hispanic Proclamation Month here in Arlington County, and I feel it is a tough act to follow them. However, I feel that selecting an old Latino like me who has been an Arlington County employee for 45 years was a safe bet. I will do my best to live up to that expectation. To get started, I would like the audience to please raise your hand if you know where Bolivia is. See, that is simply amazing. Almost everyone in the room. In 1966, when my family arrived in the United States, many Arlingtonians did not know much about Bolivia or where it was. We had to explain that it was not near Bulgaria or Albania or places in Europe, that it was actually in South America. We also had to explain that we did not eat tacos and enchiladas like they did in Mexico. Everybody assumed that if you were Hispanic, that's what you ate. By the early 1980s, when cocaine, one of its key ingredients, coca, became household words in the United States, everybody seemed to know where Bolivia was. Unfortunately for many of us Bolivians, that was not the image of Bolivia we had in mind when we tried to explain that there was more to Bolivia than coca growers. I am not sure why so many Bolivians and other Latinos chose Arlington as their new home in the 1980s, but Arlington became the home of the largest population of Bolivians living outside Bolivia here in the United States. I was amazed. Maybe it had something to do with the myth that sidewalks in Arlington County are paved with gold brick pavers, or that money grows in public street trees. I thought that was what our mission was in DPW all these years. Unfortunately, it's just brick and regular pin oaks and other things. I believe that it had to do more with the fact that there was something special about Arlington that attracted many immigrants from Latin America. Arlington had become a place where celebrating its diversity was something valued in the community and in its local government. Speaking Spanish was seen as not a foreign thing, but as an asset that enhanced the vitality of the community. Many Arlingtonians wanted their kids to attend immersion school programs where all classes were held in Spanish. Being bilingual was cool. Latino food was all of a sudden something many Arlingtonians wanted to eat. What would Arlington be without Salvadorian and other Central American countries' pupusas, fried yuca, empanadas, Bolivian salteñas, my favorite, pollo rico, El Chilango Tacos right down the hill from the courthouse, and so many other well-known Latin American foods and restaurants that Arlington is known for. Latinos felt welcome in Arlington. I should also note that Arlington became the first jurisdiction in Virginia to elect a Latino, Walter Tejada, to its highest elected body, the county board. The building boom of the 1980s, 90s, and 2000s created huge opportunities for Latino men and women. Many Latinos who came to Arlington with limited job skills or unable to speak English could find work in labor markets that were strongly suited for people willing to work hard and sometimes in the least wanted jobs. By the late 1980s, Arlington's Latino population had grown to become its largest minority. By then, many Latinos were working in Arlington County in the workforce. Many of my Latino colleagues at that time realized that this growing segment of our workforce needed assistance and guidance in navigating the many aspects of their local government. As far back as the early 1970s, a need for Spanish-speaking employees became very apparent. A number of Latino employees, including myself, made ourselves available as translators, volunteers, to assist people who could not speak English, navigate through county offices, local government processes, services, appearances in court, and just a general understanding of how local government affected them. By the 1980s, Latinos in the county force realized that we needed to do more. Not only did the Latino community need our assistance, but also our Latino colleagues. Many Latino employees face challenges in their workplaces and in their personal lives. Discrimination, language barriers, cultural misunderstandings, and other negative dynamics impacted the ability of many of them to do their job and to grow in their careers. A small group of Latino employees in 1988 decided to put together an alliance of Hispanic employees to not only be a support group for each other, but for the community as well. In 1988, Alianza was established, and since then, it has been an integral part of the county's employee workforce and the community. One of the first and best ideas that Alianza came up with was to celebrate our Hispanic heritage with our American colleagues during National Heritage Month in September of each year, as we are doing here today. In September of 1989, we held the first Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation right here in Arlington. As part of that celebration, we not only wanted to share our Hispanic heritage, but also the different customs and foods from the various countries represented in our workforce. The proclamation was an instant success. Each year afterwards, we worked hard to incorporate new experiences into our proclamation program. Music, national costumes, dancers, singers, keynote speakers, and of course, our great diverse food after the ceremony. If there is one simple way to a county employee's heart, it's through their stomach. I hope that some of my colleagues here today are not just waiting for the program to be over so they can eat, but to really enjoy this proclamation. But Alianza's purpose was not just limited to the annual proclamation. We also implemented many activities of benefit to Hispanic employees and the Latino community. Some of these activities included employment-related workshops, food distribution drives for the homeless in Arlington, aid drives to help people in Latin American countries that experience earthquakes and other catastrophes, multicultural communication workshops, panel discussions in education with participation of community leaders and education professionals, bilingual workshops to help people prepare their financial future, how to finance our children's college education, and many others. Alianza members have also participated in key efforts in the county, such as the county's healthcare task force, a barrier analysis related to recruiting and hiring Hispanic employees, the county's employee council, the county's Equal Employment Opportunity Advisory Commission. Alianza has also worked with the county's HR department on personal policies, practices, and the sources and resources for other employees. Alianza's presence and success have inspired other segments of the county's rich and diverse employee workforce to establish proclamations celebrating African American heritage, Asian and Pacific American heritage, and most recently, LGBT heritage. This tapestry of Arlington County employees is what makes this wonderful county and its workforce so well known worldwide. After 20 years, Alianza continues to be infused with new young members who are eager to continue to improve their roles in public service, their community, and also to each year celebrate and share heritage that has become an integral, dynamic, and wonderful part of this great and wonderful county. We are very, very proud of our Hispanic heritage. And today, as we have done for 20 years, we share it with you in this happy celebration. Thank you so very much for allowing me the pleasure of sharing these thoughts with you today.
Thank you, Luis, for an inspiring keynote address. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to show, turn your eye up, we're going to have a video with Luis Araya.
This came out at the last minute. I never got the opportunity to hear one of our presenters today who's going to play did not make it yet. So what we're going to do is bore you with something that I did a few years ago, and maybe you'll have fun with it. I think you might enjoy it.
Thank you.
My name is Luis Araya. I work with Arlington County. I am a bureau chief in the Department of Environmental Services. During my childhood growing up in Bolivia, the United States represented almost all those cliche things, you know, the land of plenty, money grew on trees. There's wealth, there's democracy, and we always thought it was our destiny to come here because my mom's family, a lot of her brothers and sisters had emigrated to the United States in the late 1950s and early 1960s. And we almost felt like our turn was coming, and it was only a matter of time, and we couldn't wait to get here. We landed here on the night of January 19, 1966. Winter, nice and cold, we were used to that. And the first ride we took was coming home to a place here on Pershing Drive in Arlington County. And lo and behold, as we ride up GW Parkway, not knowing where I was going or anything, I see the Washington Monument in the background by the river, the Lincoln Memorial, and these are things that I saw in pictures and movies in Bolivia, and here I am, oh my God, I'm right where this is, I'm in America now. When we first came here, there were hardly any Latinos around, and the small Latino community in Arlington at the time were mostly Cubans. My sister and I were so enthralled with being in the United States. We wanted to assimilate so badly that we learned the language almost as quickly as we got here. Within 6 months, we were almost fluent. And we paid no attention to whether or not people were looking at us differently. But there were always questions, where are you guys from? What do you speak? You know, you look a little different, and people always wondered what you were. It didn't really hit us until about junior high school. Then we started feeling like outcasts, and people would make fun of us because we spoke Spanish or our names were different. And it's pretty hard on kids at that age to not be accepted when you're trying to become an American, when you think you're in paradise and you want to be so American, and then you realize that you don't quite fit in. Around, I would say, between the late 70s into the mid 1980s, Arlington began to change in terms of its development, and somehow I believe that's part of how the Latino influence and population came to Arlington. It was needed as a labor force to rebuild Arlington, to build the new corridors, the Ralston-Ballston corridor, lots of growth in Crystal City, and they needed workers, cheap labor. I believe the Arlingtonians embraced the Latinos pretty well, even from the onset, because Arlington has become a very progressive county from the county I first saw in 1966. And its people have become very open to many things. I know that in Arlington County today, there are probably more than 250 or 80 languages spoken because every community from the world has a piece of Arlington or lives here.
Luis, I'm so happy that you shared that with us. I hope you all enjoyed it. That was great. At this time, we'd like to move into the proclamation, and I'd like to invite Christian Dorsey, Vice Chair of the Arlington County Board, to come forward. And also acknowledge John Weisstadt, who is here as well. Christian.
Thank you, Dulce, and thank you, Mr. Araya, for that wonderful keynote presentation, as well as a look at you when you're a couple years younger. Getting a look at some of the old family photos, seeing you as you grew into the man worthy of distinction and honor that you are today. That was truly a pleasure. And Mayari, thank you again. It's like we in the county have seen you grow up. I think the first time I heard you sing, I guess you were in middle school. Yeah, you were in middle school, but now we're looking at you as you were about to leave the family nest, I presume, and it's just wonderful that you continue to be so much a part of our community and our wonderful celebrations. And I'd like to thank Alianza for organizing yet again an opportunity for us to gather people of Hispanic descent as well as people who are not, to appreciate Hispanic heritage and to not just get ready for a feast, which I'm sure many people will enjoy, but to reflect on the themes that Luis talked about, how the struggle for so many people who are different, that we all have an appreciation for what it has been like to make America, and specifically Arlington, our home, and how people have had to deal with circumstances that many of us cannot appreciate. But it's through efforts like this where we come together, where hopefully that appreciation deepens and we recommit to the kind of Arlington that we all want our community to be. So it is with that, it's my pleasure to read a proclamation on behalf of the County Board commemorating Hispanic Heritage Month. And it reads, it's fairly short, so I'm going to read the whole thing. Whereas the Hispanic presence and influence in the United States dates back to the early 1500s, and whereas Hispanics have participated throughout history, the history of the United States in support of and in defense of the principles and ideals upon which this country was founded, and whereas Hispanics have made significant contributions in all phases of our economic, social, cultural, and political life, and whereas Hispanics account for approximately 16% of Arlington's population, and number more than 50 million residents of the United States, and whereas Hispanics constitute a diverse group with origins in 21 different Spanish-speaking countries in the world, whose heritage links them with North, Central, and South America, the Caribbean islands, Africa, and Europe, and whereas Hispanics contribute to the great diversity and unity of Arlington County, with a rich history of different cultures and racial makeups within Hispanic communities. And whereas we, as a community and as a government, are proud of the cultural enrichment brought by the diversity of the Hispanic population. Now, therefore, Katie Crystal, Chair of the County Board of Arlington, Virginia, does hereby proclaim September 15th through October 14th, 2018 as Hispanic Heritage Month in Arlington County, and urges all citizens to join and support in the county's celebration of the rich heritage of our Hispanic residents. Now, I have to say something. Originally, I was asked to read this in Spanish. I am not a native Spanish speaker. In fact, I'm not a Spanish speaker at all. And I've noticed that no one before me, including people who are native Spanish speakers, have said anything in Spanish. So I'm wondering why in the world I was asked to read this in Spanish. But you know what? I agreed to do it because I thought for a little bit about how difficult it must be for people who are new migrants to the United States who face that choice as to how to ultra assimilate as quickly as possible, and how challenging that must be, and how you must have spent a significant portion of your childhood out of your comfort zone trying to figure out how to adapt as quickly as possible, not only to the English language, but also to the Arlington culture. So I agreed to do it, to take myself out of that comfort zone. But since no one else has spoken in Spanish, I'm just going to take a small piece of this and not read the whole thing. So I will go towards the end, which was the last piece, the last whereas clause that I read. Considerando que nosotros como comunidad y como gobierno estamos orgullosos de la riqueza cultural que han traído con su diversidad los inmigrantes hispanos. And I think that's important because, oh, no, stop. Because as I read it in English, and hopefully as you heard it again in Spanish, this is something that is important to us as a government. We think that it is important as leaders in the community to not only have gatherings such as this, not only to have the proper values and the proper vision, but to actually back that up with action. So that's something that we challenge ourselves to do, Mr. Weistat and my colleagues, and we also challenge you all to help keep us accountable to making sure that the values that we talk about, the spirit that we get from celebrating Hispanic heritage and all other heritages of people who make up this county, that is backed up with government action. And I thank you all for gathering here today and indulging me as I brutally read that little short segment in Spanish. Thank you.
That was pretty good for someone who says he doesn't speak Spanish at all. That was great. And we would want to thank Christian, but we also want to show you a video featuring Christian Dorsey. So have a look. We will not have a video featuring Christian Dorsey. What we will have is we're going to, in lieu of the Bolivian dance performance, that they were unable to make it, we're going to treat you to an audiovisual. It's a poem by an award-winning poet named Denise Froman, and her poem is called Accent.
I need help. Sounds stupid.
That doesn't sound stupid.
My mom holds her accent like a shotgun with two good hands. Her tongue all brass knuckled, slipping in between her lips. Her hips are all laughter and wind clap. She speaks a sancocho of Spanish and English pushing up and against one another in rapid fire. See, there is no telling my mama to be quiet. My mama don't know quiet. Her voice is one size better fit all. And you best not tell her to hush. She waited too many years for her voice to arrive to be told it needed housekeeping. See, English sits in her mouth remixed, so strawberry becomes a strawberry. And cookie becomes a cookie. And kitchen, keychain, and chicken all sound the same. My mother doesn't say yes, she says, aha! And suddenly the sky in her mouth becomes a Hector Lavoe song. Her tongue can't lay itself down flat enough for the English language. It got too much hip, too much bone, too much conga, too much cuatro to two-step, got too many piano keys in between her teeth. It got too much clave, too much hand clap, got too much salsa to sit still. It's being an anxious child wanting to make Play-Doh out of concrete English. Be too neat for her kind of wonderful. Her words spill in conversation between women whose hands are all they got. Sometimes our hands are all we got, and accents that remind us that we are still bomba, still plena. You say huepa, huepa. You say huepa, huepa. And a stranger becomes your hermano. You say dale, dale. family reunion. My mother's tongue is a telegram from her mother decorated with the coquis of El Campo. So even when her lips can barely stretch themselves around English, her accent is a stubborn compass, always pointing her towards home.
Oh, what about that? That is great. I think it brings home to many of us, if not our own accents, our parents or our grandparents or our great-grandparents' accents. Thank you so much for that. And now I would like to introduce Erica Serrano with the Department of Human Services, and she is the Vice Chair of Alianza. Erica, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the County Manager, Mr. Schwartz, for being here, the Board Chair, Mr. Dorsey, and also Board Member, Mr. Weistad. Thank you, Dulce, for acting as a Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Araya, for being our keynote speaker, and Mayari, for always singing beautifully our national anthem. Thank you to all our guests and to each and every one of you for being here. We truly appreciate your support of all our activities, and we love sharing with you our heritage and all the work that Alianza does to promote the Hispanic community here in Arlington. I want to present certificate of appreciation to Mayari for her participation today. To Dulce. And to Luis. Thank you, Luis. Thank you. And maybe some of you don't know that, but Luis is the highest ranked Hispanic employee here in Arlington. So we all hope that we can follow those steps. And in following those steps, I think it's very important that we as Hispanics and representatives of our raza bring a message about each one of us being an ambassador of what Latino is. We all should be proud of being Latino, and we should also present ourselves in service to our community and try to rise the standard so the generations that are coming behind us also try to do the same. In the words of Simón Bolívar, who you may know, the liberator, or he helped many countries in South America to obtain liberty from Spain. He said, la unidad de nuestros pueblos no es una simple quimera, es nuestro destino. The unity of our people is not just a dream, it is our destiny. Thank you very much. So now I invite you all to proceed to the 9th floor for refreshments. Thank you.